Meeting to order at 7 p.m. As the Mayor likes to read, our vision is striving for a vibrant and balanced community, and our mission is to serve the community and embrace opportunity. So I'll call the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Latimer, Councillor Salt. Any additions or... Oh no, next one. Adoption of the previous minutes.
I will.
Councillor Latimer, Councillor Blanchette. Any errors? Okay.
It appears the resolution numbering is out of sync again, that it's duplicating the same numbering as the April 23rd minutes.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll ask iCompass to call our development team and ask them to look into it, and we'll get it right.
That's all.
Do you have to what? Ask him all in favor for any stuff?
No. Okay, then to the minutes of the special meeting, May 15th. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt. All in favor. There we go. And minutes of the public hearing for the temporary use permit application of the CVCA. Councillor Latimer, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor. Okay, there are no delegations tonight. There is no unfinished business. And we'll start with correspondence for action. Yes? Okay. Valemount Days, there's a big staff recommendation here. Go ahead.
To alter that though.
Yeah, if we could let Councillor Blanchette speak to that.
Sure.
So first of all, for the record, I'm part of the Sports Days Committee, and on their behalf they would like me to read this. And it's: the committee is dismayed that after 32 years of partnering in good faith with the village, that all of a sudden the rules have changed at the 11th hour. A very small group of volunteers, and I mean very small, worked tirelessly to incorporate several community groups to put on a community-driven annual event. It's very disheartening and unwelcomed. So, they've never had to sign contracts before. They've never had to provide lists of all these things, even though they do get them. They've never had to meet with Public Works or anyone from the village. They've only ever dealt with the girls at the front desk. And like I said, they're not too happy. So what we need and are asking for is the grounds for the 9th, which is the Sunday, the ball diamond on the grounds, the concession, if it's going to be usable, because right now it is not currently usable. Is that going to be ready to go? For sure, because we were not given a key to go in and even look. We were told we weren't allowed. We can discuss that later.
It's ready for you.
Okay, because it wasn't ready 2 days ago. Okay.
Our schedule was Valemount Days to get
Okay.
It's been under renovation or repair, so.
Okay. So that's the concession, the grounds, the beer gardens, the ball diamond. I think that's it. There's no parade, so we won't be needing a float for the village. We won't need anyone to see if they wanted to volunteer to man the ticket window at the concession. And the only other thing was the garbage pickup on Sunday. They were wondering if the on-duty person could pick it up Sunday afternoon at some point. Everything should be over, we believe, by 5, but we're not sure how that's going to work with the time for the day staff.
Wait till the next day?
Yep. Yep. And I believe that's it.
Okay, so we're going to change the staff recommendation
Do you want me to read it out again, just to be
I have
clear?
the notes.
Again, Councillor Blanchette will have Public Works work with them because that's what we'll do.
Well, they already know what to do, like I said,
And
they
they've
go
been
through
working
this.
on
Yeah,
getting the grounds ready.
yeah, because we don't need fencing or any of that stuff anymore. So the list is really,
Okay.
I think except for just making sure that the garbage cans are out and we won't need the tent.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that change comprehensive liability, food permits, any of that? No? Okay. So the recommendation is that council approve an in-kind donation for the use of the sports grounds complex, all outdoor areas, concession hall, and both diamonds for June 9th.
Just one diamond.
Okay. And what about the hall?
Nope, we don't need the hall.
Okay. Okay, so that council approve an in-kind donation for the use of the sports ground complex, concession, outdoor area, and a ball diamond for June the 9th.
Yeah.
Pending the Valemount Day Committee providing the village staff with proof of $2 million comprehensive liability insurance with the village named as the additional insured. 2, proof of a temporary food permit from Northern Health. 3, proof of an appropriate liquor license from the BC Liquor Licensee and Control Branch. And 4, proof of an appropriate gaming license from the Gaming Policy and Enforcement Branch. And pending the Vale Mountain Days Committee signing an appropriate contract for the sports ground complex with the Village of Valemount. No parade, no ticket booth. The council approved that Public Works to pick up garbage from designated bins at the grounds on Sunday evening or Monday morning. That council directs staff to have a meeting with the Vale Mountain Days Committee to discuss and agree upon the tasks outlined in page 2. Are those null and void now as well, or? Maybe we could just say that council directs staff to have a meeting with the Vale Mountain Days Committee.
You know, I don't understand why we have to sign a contract, and I don't understand why all of a sudden we have to have all these meetings. We have 1 week to go. We are scrambling as it is. Why all of a sudden has everything changed? That hasn't been addressed.
We want to be consistent. We make every other user sign contracts for use.
Okay,
And
but-
they're pretty standard documents.
But why wasn't this addressed months ago? Why was it not until the week before?
When did we get the letter?
In time for this council meeting, so whenever she put it in.
Right, and that's,
So the letter came to me to put on the agenda last Thursday, and the earliest that the issue came to me was a week before that, and these were verbally conveyed to different members of the Vale Mountain Days Committee at different times as they came into the office.
Could there just be one liaison, maybe yourself, just to go over any of the fine details? As far as the last recommendation.
Because some of these aren't, like, I mean, we don't get we don't get the liquor license until we pick up the liquor, which means Friday night. That's when it's already applied for, but we don't get it in hand
Right.
until we pick up the liquor. You know, I've never, you know, the insurance is out of McBride, so when she gets it, she just holds it on file. So,
those would be really good things to explain in the drafting of this contract.
okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it could be alleviated by,
It could have been,
Talking.
a lot
Just
of the
having
pressure
conversation.
that was felt last night could have been alleviated. You know, we have a very small village, we have a lot of volunteers, and when they're faced with this stuff, they get mad. They feel like they're being slapped in the face. Everybody knows when Valemount Mountain Days is coming. If rules are going to change, we need to try and let these groups know ahead of time so that they can get their stuff together. So,
well, it'll be a good learning experience, I guess, for everybody. Can I have a mover for the resolutions? Councillor Latimer? Councillor Salt, all in favor? Councillor Blanchette, do you want to be
I would
noted
like to be,
as not in favor?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, 6.2 on the agenda, support for elite athlete Omar Medina. I'll give a little bit of background. There's a letter from the principal, Dan Kenkel, about Omar, who is apparently is winning a lot of gold medals in the 100-meter sprint and in the long jump, and he's living in Prince George, and he's looking for some support for to be able to continue on his journey to success. The principal has indicated that he will require approximately $1,500 in additional travel costs, entry fees, and training expenses, and it would help out the family significantly if some of these expenses could be covered. So I don't think it's asking for a full $1,500, but I think, pardon me?
Just roughly what they're looking for?
And I think this falls into the same $2,000 budgeted for $1,000 budgeted, and we've already used $200 of that.
And I looked back at last year, Your Worship.
Yep.
And we had actually awarded him $100 because I think it was, we looked at it as, although he is representing the track and field team, he's only one team member, whereas other teams only get a maximum of 250 for more than one person. So I think that's the rationale we used last year, but if we decide to up it, that's our choice this year, but that's what we did last year.
Well, it's great to see that he's continued his success from this year to last year, and I think it's important that that we contribute something, because track and field is only a one-man sport for some of these events. So what is everyone's wish?
So we've got $800 to last us until the end of the year, right?
Yes.
And we're already in May, end
Yeah.
of June. End of June.
The girls' basketball usually.
Could we give him $150 this year?
I'd like to move that we offer $150 this year.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Okay, that takes us to the reading file. Does anybody want to pull anything out from? No. No administrator report, no economic development report, or public works, building inspector, or bylaw report. And so we're down into our financial report. The CARIP. So the background is to be eligible for a conditional grant. The local government must sign on to the BC Climate and Action Charter. By doing so, commit to take actions and develop strategies to achieve the three following goals: be carbon neutral in their corporate operations by 2012, measure and report on the community greenhouse gas emission profile, and create complete compact energy efficient rural and urban communities, and report publicly on their plan and progress towards meeting their climate action goals. And our recommendation is just to approve this report as final.
I'll make a recommendation to approve the report.
Seconded by Councillor Salt. All in favor? Okay, bylaws and policy, down to the street vendor bylaw. Our purpose is to seek the first, second, and third reading of bylaw number 696, 2013 temporary street vendor bylaw. Yes, that's our recommendation.
I have a question, one question.
Yep.
Number 10, it says, street vendor vehicles, carts, stands, and related equipment, tables, chairs, garbage cans, recycling bins, must not be placed on village property or private property. So where would it go then?
Doesn't that contradict point number 5? Listing the different places, so I had that same question. I was like, so where do they park?
Where do they park?
The intent of number 10 is to ensure that they're not on a parcel as defined by the zoning bylaw. So street side. So perhaps village property does imply
I would think
city
not.
streets, so we can certainly change that language if council wishes to recommend alternative language. But the intent is that we're not going through a zoning process because we're not allowing street vendors to park on property. They can only be side street, which is still part of the street.
So I'm sorry, but I don't really understand. If you don't park on village property or on private property, what property do you park on?
The street, or the street side.
Where the cars are supposed to park?
Which is village right away though.
Correct. It's village right away, and the phrasing here, I think, can be clarified to make that clear, as opposed to, like Braden was saying, instead of a parcel, it can be on the roadside.
So for example, this complex that we're in is a parcel, but the intent for one of the 4 locations is for the street vendor to be able to park just on the outside of this parcel, street side. So the gravel area just past the visitor parking lot is street side to this parcel in between the street and the parcel of land. And so the intent is that's the language that we're trying to say is you're not allowed to park on parcels of land. You have to park on the edge of the street. That's the intent. I apologize for writing confusing
Isn't that a little
language.
dangerous though, if you've got the street vendor on the street and then somebody standing on the street getting their whatever it is?
What
You're on the
happens if they
street,
run over?
like, isn't that kind of dangerous?
So there's 2 questions there. I think I'll answer Councillor Latimer's first. So every street vendor would be required to have comprehensive liability insurance.
Right.
And the rationale for having them street side as opposed to on our land or private property is that for a temporary pilot project, all the municipalities we talk to strongly recommended only allowing street side because it's much easier to regulate and control. We heard when talking to certain planners that 95% of municipalities only allow street vendors to be parked on the edge of a street because of taxation and regulation issues.
So right now, they can't go and park in the empty parking lot at Shop Easy on the side. They'd have to go and park right in front on the street where people park.
They would,
Is that-
they would not be allowed to park there at all because the bylaw designates only 4 spots in the village where they're allowed to park. And if you're not, you can't operate if you're not in one of those 4 spots.
The intent of not allowing it on a private parcel like that is then you're beginning to blur that line between a restaurant and a food truck.
Yeah, I just try to
Restaurants
keep
will
it
pay
safe though
taxes and.
for our residents who, if they want to go, we don't want them standing on the street with their kids and their dog and everything waiting while cars are trying to get by, like we've got.
The door's on the passenger side.
I was gonna say, so would it be advisable that the vendor
Turns.
vehicle is parked so that its actual service side to the public is facing towards
Sidewalk.
the sidewalk?
Right after number 10, number 11 states that street vendors must not create any physical sign or sight obstructions for any pedestrians or vehicles. And so what we did is we did a drive around and we scoped out 4 areas that actually had a side street portion that was big enough for a vehicle and tables to reside on without being on the private land and without being on the street itself. And that's why these 4 locations in part were chosen.
Are those 4 parts in here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 5.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay.
So can you just clarify the number 10 just in the bylaw then? please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can I state, after the brackets must not be placed on parcels as defined in our zoning bylaw?
Exactly like you explained it, yeah, just so that it's very clear.
Thank you.
And I just have a question. If you managed to work with the applicant when this document was put together to see if it was going to work for both the village and them.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, the proponent and we had a phone conversation and we went through every heading and touched on the major issues and made a point of touching on right at the very end the fee structure.
Okay, super.
38 through 41.
Good.
And before putting these fees forward, they were verified with the proponent and agreed upon.
I have a question on number 7, the last sentence. It says space will be allocated daily on a first come, first served basis. I understand right now we're only dealing with specifically one vendor. However, if all of a sudden we get a whole flurry of them deciding to come, so do they contact the village office every day to say where they're parking, or is it all predetermined when they take out their permit?
It's neither, unfortunately. Because we're a small municipality and because there's only one vehicle that we know of at this time, and because it's only a 3-month, this is a very watered down way of doing it for simplicity's sake. Most municipalities, when there's a tight requirement for space and more vendors than space allows, they'll run something like a lottery system. And when they get issued a street vendor permit, it'll be for one space in the city and they're not allowed to go to any other location. The challenge here right now is the proponent. Part of his business model, I don't think he's sure which the locations at which time would be best. And the nice part about having just one vendor at this time in a pilot program means that he can at different times, they go to the different sites and see what business is like. And
Good.
we recognize that this actually, it will be a problem if we do have more people buy vehicles. But
Deal with it later.
the hope,
Yeah.
that's the hope that we can, through the APC Commission, we can deal that more adequately for the permanent bylaw.
And one other item on number 28. We just need to change the wording after the comma. It says the city, it should be the village. I wish we were a city, but we're still just a village.
I have a couple of questions as well. So do they need to put up, the no smoking permitted within 5 meters of the vending unit? I mean, would they have to put up signage through, I mean, that would be a WorkSafe BC thing. And I know that businesses have to put up signage that it's 3 meters away from any doors or windows and open vents.
That's a great question. If it's council's wish, we could clarify both the distance and the need for signage, because the bylaw says 5 meters and doesn't require signage for that smoking.
Okay, just wondering if that was part of it, only because WorkSafe BC's been here a lot the last couple of months. And wouldn't want to see somebody get closed down because they don't have the proper signage.
And this is part of flushing it out too. So.
And seasonal, is that quarterly then? Seasonal permits?
Half a year?
6 months?
It would be less than that. This in the case of the bylaw. It would be only up to September 30th, because that's when the bylaw ends.
Okay. Okay, that's all for me.
If you start at the beginning of April, it's still 6 months.
Yeah, right.
Can I get a recommendation then? Mover and a,
Yeah, I'll make a recommendation that we do first, second, and third reading with the changes that were mentioned.
Would you like me to take the changes?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
You can do either one.
okay,
I just had a request to review the changes that I'm going
Just
to.
so we
good,
know what
yep, super.
So in clause number 10, we'll clarify the language versus what village property and private property means by changing that to parcels designated in the zoning bylaw. In number 38, I will change the word city to village, and in the section on signage will require signage regarding smoking and distances.
Yeah. That should be good.
Great, a seconder, did we have that? Councillor Salt? All in favor? So the only tricky part of this business is the fourth and final reading would be after Valemount Days. So in order for us to have this pass so he can operate for Valemount Days, we would have to have a special council meeting to be able to do fourth.
I just have a question.
Yep.
Has anyone consulted with the Valemount Days Committee just to confirm?
What
Do-
does he sell?
Like, will it affect the committee with any of their fundraising
Because, over the
activities?
years, they've never allowed, they've never liked anyone selling the same food items that they're selling. Because that's how the committee makes funds to be able to run it for the following year.
So what's the protocol here?
I'm smiling because the only protocol would be to write language in the bylaw that says, to write a non-complete cause in the bylaw. But should he be open for Valemount days, he would have every right under our bylaws to park
Oh,
by the arena.
okay,
Where the designated, even if the concession's open for Valemount days.
okay. So we wouldn't have to have a,
There would be,
Special meeting.
Valemount days wouldn't have a say based on,
oh, right.
under the current, under the way the current bylaws currently drafted.
Well, I would hope we could encourage communication between the vendor and the Valemount Days committee to see how that could all be worked out.
So then we don't need to do a fourth reading until the changes are made and stuff then?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want to call a special meeting then for that or no?
we don't have to because you said that in,
There's two options we can
okay,
do.
let's talk about that again.
The smoothest way would be to do the special council meeting, do fourth reading, because that would negate the need to issue a mobile vendor license
Okay,
for the weekend, which costs $200, and then issue a street vendor license after.
okay,
So for the proponent, it would be simpler just to be open once
okay,
and with the one permit. But there would be the challenge of potentially the vendor selling the same product as the concession.
right. Which we hope can be alleviated by communication between the vendor and the committee. What is council's wish? Does anybody have, is there time to have a special meeting to be able to allow?
Your worship?
Yes.
If you like, you'd be welcome to ask the proponent to speak to this issue
Sure.
now.
Would you like to speak to
I could
this?
just simplify this now, I don't have to be open for them on this.
Okay,
No problems.
super. Okay, down to council reports then?
I'll start.
Good,
I have nothing to report.
super.
I only have one thing.
Yes.
Everything else got canceled or moved. May 21st was the Canoe Valley Rec Center meeting. Everything's going along. They're getting ready for their summer season and the doors are open. The excitement begins.
Great.
I attended the water treatment plant open house to the public on Saturday and was very pleased to see the turnout that we had to come see our facility. We're definitely talking about possibly carrying on an annual public event as well as the school education program, but we'll hash that out. We thought maybe next year we'll go do a tour of the sewer treatment plant. But we will see. But I think the people that did come out were really pleased and happy to be able to see the facility as well, and probably quite amazed once they saw to see what kind of a facility we are lucky enough to have in this little community of ours. So it was I think a great day, and I want to thank all of the staff for all their hard work making it happen. So, and tonight, that's it. I've actually had yeah, like Councillor Blanchette said, some meetings have been shuffled around a bit, so there'll be a lot more to report next time.
Right on, thanks. Yes, I also went to the water treatment plant barbecue, which there was over 40 people that came in for a tour on the same weekend as the high school rodeo, a barbecue at IGA, or the family dance, and so to those 40 people, way to go, and to, over 60 people, and to the public works staff there. It's just so cool to watch these people take ownership over what they do, and in a place that not a lot of people actually get to see them do what they do. And then on the 15th, we went for a walk on the Bigfoot Trail with the contractor who's going to install the signage and the bollards and the picnic tables. So that'll be exciting. And benches. And that's all I have to report to you. And I think we're down to public comment. And I'll just read that these are the conditions to all the public comment. Questions should be limited to 2 minutes each. They should be regarding an item on the current council agenda. The questions put forth must be topics which are not normally dealt with by the village staff as a matter of routine. Individuals must state their name and address for identification purposes. All questions shall be addressed through the chair and answers given likewise. Debates with or by individual council members or staff members are not allowed. And as a council, no commitments shall be made in replying to the questions. Does anybody have anything to say tonight?
I do. Name Dave Grant. I live in Valemount, 14081 Howard Road. Just concerning the street vendor bylaw, I was concerned about the hours of operation. That was from 7 to 11 p.m. Just for future, like let's say there's a dance or something that runs late, you know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, I'm not gonna be able to set up and sell whatever I want outside the dance. There's a bit of a concern on that respect. And the other spot was these 4 locations that I could park, but I was really hoping for something downtown. As I'm informed, there's a microbrewery going in, and let's say they stay open late, being a bar in the summertime and whatnot. It'd be nice to be able to stay out, you know, until all their patrons have come and gone. So basically looking for another location, a little closer than the Dogwood area. That's about it.
Great. Hopefully those are things that we can take into consideration throughout the pilot project. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, I have to ask twice more. Anybody else? Anybody else want to say anything? Okay. And then there is no in camera tonight, and so I will call the meeting adjourned at, go ahead.
Motion.
Oh, good. 7:30. Right, a motion. Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? And I hit this again. And done. Okay.